Okay.
There we
I'd
go.
like to call the annual meeting 2014 of the Twilight Theatre to order and thank each and every one of you for coming. Every community that is successful has builders, and every one of you sitting in this room are builders because of your contributions to the theater, and you can be very proud of yourself for that. We need to approve the agenda. There's some additional agendas up here on the stage if someone didn't pick one up when they came in for the meeting. Are there any additions to the agenda? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to approve. I can't see because of the lights. Moved by Bob Dixon and seconded by who? Gene West. Thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor, raise your voting sticks. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. When you arrived, you had the opportunity to pick up the minutes of the 2013 annual meeting. If you didn't pick them up, there are still some up here on the stage, and they were also posted on the website. Are there any corrections, additions, or deletions to those minutes? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to approve. Mrs. Larrick on the motion, and second? Marilyn Goodhart on the second. Been moved and seconded to approve those minutes as written. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Raise your voting sticks. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. At this time, I want to introduce Mr. Adam Wagner. He's the man we've hired as theater director. Many of you have met him, some of you may not. So I want to give you some highlights of his life. He arrived and moved into Greensburg actually on the 7th anniversary of the tornado. He comes to us from a small town in the Midwest, and he has experience from very small theater to the largest theater in the nation. He's a go-getter who's not afraid of work. He pushes us all very hard, and he's one of those guys that, Adam, tomorrow you're going to take a day off because you've been working so hard on this annual meeting that you haven't slept for a week. Anyway, we are very, very fortunate to have Adam. He really understands the small community, tying the theater together with the other avenues we have in this community. And we really, really want to welcome Adam on board. And Adam is going to give you a board moment. But before we do that, let's give Adam a hand of applause for taking on this challenge.
Thank you, everyone. I just wanted to thank you all for being here, and I want to thank the board of directors for being one of the best boards I've ever worked with. And I'm not just saying that because they're here and they approved my salary. But truly, I've never seen a board that consists of this group so cohesively work together in a positive way to move things forward. And that makes my job so much easier. So I thank each and every one of you for being there to support me. And so we're gonna kind of run this like an actual meeting. So what we do in our regular meetings, we do a board moment. And this is where we take the opportunity to take continuing education for the board because sometimes there's a really eager person that wants to help but maybe doesn't have the education of what a board member is supposed to do or should do or is allowed to do. And so we take 5 minutes at the beginning of every meeting to either realign ourselves with the mission of the organization or move forward with something that needs to happen. And since I've gotten here, we've gone through a couple of things, such as we adopted a conflict of interest policy. We went through the difference between board duties and staff responsibilities. So the next thing that we'll be talking about at our next regular board meeting is a whistleblower protection policy. And please silence all cell phones. And the reason that we do this is reporting responsibilities. So it allows people to go to someone if they feel that something unethical is happening. And we'll move forward. And that they can do that without retaliation against them. So that my job wouldn't be in jeopardy if I felt that one of the board members was doing something unethical. I could go to someone and speak to them about that. And the same thing when I hire staff or volunteers or even you as members, that you could bring that to me or to one of the board members and it wouldn't work against you. We'll keep going. This will establish a reporting procedure, so how that happens and who you go to at any particular point. And we try to establish someone who is kind of the go-to person, the ethics chief, I guess you could say. Let's keep going. Or the compliance officer, as my slide says. So, but ethics chief sounds really exciting too. And then accounting and auditing, this allows us to make sure that we're transparent with everything and that no one's hiding anything. Keep going. And that everyone, that the board, that the staff and myself and everyone else is acting in good faith. Keep going. Yes, and a confidentiality agreement that obviously if a donor wishes to remain anonymous, that will honor that, and that will keep records confidential. The handling of report violations, we'll set a policy for that. And we'll move on to the other thing that we'll adopt at the next meeting is a document retention policy. And the reason that we do this is we don't have to have one of these. It's not in the law that we have to have these, but the IRS now asks nonprofits on their tax return if they have one of these. And so it just helps us with transparency and to show that we're operating in good faith, that we have a document retention policy. And that comes from an act in 2002 where it actually was for businesses, but we're applying it to the nonprofit world. And so the retention policy gives us a list of document categories, the length of time that we have to keep them, and those are put in place because if, for example, there was anticipation of litigation against the organization, the board members couldn't start destroying information. And we will seek legal counsel regarding local laws, state laws, and federal laws as far as, you have to keep tax returns a certain amount of time, when are we going to get rid of contracts and things like that. So it's just a good way to show that we're keeping track of our documents and we're not destroying anything, and or if we are destroying them, that we're destroying them properly, shredding them, and getting rid of the evidence. I think that might be it. All right, so I think before we move forward, since that was kind of the...
We don't have the bowl.
We don't have the... Yeah, it's right there. This is where we shake things up. Because you just had a board moment. We are now going to do some door prizes, and we'll have a lovely lady step up and pull, and if you win the prize, you can come up and you get to choose what you'd like. And these are things that I collected at a a movie theater operators convention, and instead of pocketing them all for myself, we're going to give them away.
And the prize winner is Chuck Meller. Chuck, come up and pick up what you want.
If there is anything. There's some DVDs and some t-shirts and whatever. Okay. So congratulations, Chuck. You're welcome. We're going to move on to the financial statements and the financial report for 2013. So we just got the audit back, and I'm happy to report that there was no problems dealing with the management or the record keeping of the organization. So as you can see, this is just our liabilities and net assets. Starting at the beginning of the year, we are at about 1.6 million in assets and 0 liabilities. And at the end of the year, we are at about 2.7 million, which is what you're sitting in. And it's hard to tell, but we had about $20,000 in liabilities. There were 2 loans given by past officers or current officers, and those were paid back immediately in 2014, but it was given in 2013, so that's that. We'll move to the next slide. Our revenues. This is great. We had donations of over $1 million. We earned interest on our accounts of $261 and other income of $154 for a total of $1,035,744. And we'll move forward to expenses. And this is what's really remarkable. We have the admin of $8,500, fundraising expenses $3,600 for a total of $12,000 in expenses last year. And why is this good? We look at the expense to income ratio when we're talking about fundraising, and usually our goal is we want our expenses to be in the 10 to 15% ratio. So if we're going to do a campaign, say for a $100,000 matching grant campaign, we would say, well, we know we're going to spend 10 to 15% of that money to raise that money. That's considered pretty good. For the Twilight last year, our expenses were 0.4%. It's actually unbelievable, and it was one of the first things that I told the board and obviously previous board members that is incredible and unheard of. So I just want to congratulate all of you, so I'll give you a round of applause. It really is a good thing. All right, and we'll move forward to 2014. So this is year to date, and we have income of $699,500. Maybe someone will tip that over tonight. And you can see where that money comes from. So obviously the largest portion is public support. That's individuals, corporate sponsorships, and memorials and things like that. Grants is 43%. That was the Maybe grant that was secured in 2013, and we received those funds in 2014 for $300,000. And then there's other fundraising campaigns and a little bit of other. Then our expenses this year to date is construction has 83%, and admin and general was 17%. So admin in general was about $120,000. Construction was the remaining. And I did some calculations, and what I was able to find is that 26% of the money that we spent, of all that money, of the, I want to say it was around the same that we took in, 26% was spent in Kiowa and contiguous counties. And since we're aiming to be a regional draw and keeping the money here, that's, I think, a pretty good barometer for keeping the money here. But hopefully, as we continue and we hire more people and people are, we can afford to start buying things in for operations, that number will go up. So Now I will hand it over to the board president for the bylaws. Unless you want to do another drawing.
We can do another drawing.
Let's do another drawing, because I just did talk a whole bunch about money. I guess I should ask if there were any questions about the financial reports. All right. Well, thank you. If you have any questions afterwards, you can let me know.
And the winner is Farrell Allison.
Yay! You can come up later if you want, but then someone might take the prize that you want.
Okay, on the bylaws, the current bylaws of the Twilight Theatre give the board the authority to change them upon our own with a majority vote of the board. With Adam on board and things changing and times changing, we have to adapt. We can't just go through life doing things the status quo. So, we have 3 bylaw changes here that we would like you guys and gals to ratify tonight, and we'll explain with the rationale. And the 4th one, actually, we've already done it so we could hire an executive director, because the way the bylaws were written, we could not hire an executive director until we put a provision in there for doing so. So anyway, go ahead. The way the current bylaws are written, you have to be a resident of Kiowa County to serve on the board. We propose to change that to allow board members to come for Kiowa County or contiguous counties. The rationale being this theater and community auditorium needs to be a regional draw for it to be successful. And little side note, quick story here. Darren Hedrick and I were over in the community of Pratt. Oh, it was probably midsummer. And we were at a special ed cooperative board meeting that the school district here has to belong to. And we was doing a director's evaluation, and only the board members were in the room and everybody else was out in the lobby. Darren was out in the lobby. What do you folks think the topic of conversation was? When is your theater going to be open? We can't wait. So, in looking at expanding the board to contiguous counties gives us the opportunity for outlying communities to have representation. If we have a quality board member there, that's the rationale behind that. Adam, anything you want to add?
No, I think I just want to reiterate that that's a major transition in the way we think about things, is that this will serve this community, but it will not survive and it will not thrive without inviting the other communities in. And we need their buy-in. And so that's the rationale.
Next. This one is a big change. Membership dues will be collected at $50 per person annually. All of you that are here tonight that have lifetime memberships will be grandfathered in. There will be no change. But anybody in the future that buys a membership, it will only be a yearly membership. The rationale is that the annual memberships produce engagement of folks. It also produces a cash flow and keeps new ideas flowing in so we don't get stagnated. The Twilight must work to encourage ongoing support, invite new members and new ideas, and rely on an active membership to propel the organization into the future. And just because some of us have lifetime memberships doesn't mean that we shouldn't provide some more money each year. That's, you know, the lifetime memberships, when it started out, that was the direction it needed to go. And we feel as a board to be viable long term, and from serving on other 501c3 boards, I can tell you that the lifetime membership is the best thing you can do to not keep dollars flowing into your organization. And that's the rationale behind that one. And Kim and I are lifetime members, but we continue to give money yearly. Anything you want to add on that one?
No, I think just we just want to make sure that Lifetime members understand that that's not going away if you already are one, and that I'm working on providing some benefits to members. One of those being obviously your voting privileges, but also if you are a member, we'll have special invitations to members-only events. So for example, I'm going to be proposing soon at the next meeting that we do a test drive your seat, where those who have dedicated seats and are members can come in early and choose exactly where those seats will be. And that way you receive a benefit. The other thing is once we start showing live presentations or concerts or doing community theater, that we hope to allow the membership to order and choose where they sit at least 1 week or 2 weeks ahead of the general public. So, and that will probably expand to other things. The only thing that we can't do for your membership is, if it's a due, we can't provide you something of value. Otherwise, your membership due is not tax deductible. So we can provide you perks, but we can't actually give you something. So that's the rationale behind that.
Good. The way the current bylaws are written, there is no maximum number set on the top end for board members. We're proposing to limit the size of the board and allow the board to appoint 2 additional. Appointed directors must be a CPA or individual with a background in finance, or an attorney or licensed legal counselor. The idea is if we can get that on the board by an appointment, it'll be a huge advantage to us legally and financially without always having to pick up the phone and call an attorney, call a lawyer, or whatever. So we're proposing the board will consist of at least 5 and no more than 7 directors. A smaller board allows the organization to make decisions quickly and efficiently. Boards with too many members can lead to less engagement of individual directors and slow down staff's ability to take action. Giving the board the ability to appoint a qualified CPA or an attorney fulfills a major need for our organization. Oversight, analysis, and review of contracts protects the organization. So our proposal is to set the board at 5 to 7 members, at least 5, not to exceed 7, with the board then having the authority to appoint 2 more. That's our proposal. Anything you want to add to that? Okay. And the very last one that we've already done, the board of directors also has amended the language. Pardon?
I got a question real fast. Clarification on your last one here. Now you're saying that on the 2 additional board member positions, they would not be elected, they would be appointed by the existing board.
That is correct. And one of them would need to be a CPA or have finance background, and the other one would need to be an attorney or someone with legal background. Okay. Any other questions there? And the very last one, we amended the language to allow us to hire Adam and get this project moving forward. So I guess if we don't ratify Adam, you might be out of a job. But so anyway, are there any other questions on the bylaw changes and amendments? Your board feels very strongly that we need to do these to move forward. Debbie?
6.
6, Grant's in the trailer. And Dr. Kabar resigned, and that's the vacant spot. Any other questions? Thoughts or concerns? At that point, I would entertain a motion to ratify the bylaw amendments. Matt?
I'll make a motion to
Second? Kim Gamble, second. Any other discussion? All those in favor, raise your signs. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Do we want to do another drawing?
Since I'm still hired, yes, let's do it.
And the winner is Jane Wade,
Woo!
right on the front
I
row.
was just getting ready to suggest that you draw a woman's name.
Congratulations.
And next on the agenda, the bylaws state that the board will establish a nominating committee, and that committee has met. Brad Estes' term and Heather Powell's term are up. They both indicated to the nominating committee that they would wish to continue. And we also have a new individual that has met with the nominating committee. She would wish to become a member of the board of directors, and that lady is Paige Tyree. So that is the slate that we're presenting to you. Re-elect Brad and Heather and add Paige Tyree to it for a 2-year term commencing January 1 of 2015. Any questions or discussion? I would entertain a motion. Darren Hedrick. Do we have a second? Bob Dixon. Moved by Darren Hedrick and seconded by Bob Dixon to appoint Brad Estes, Heather Powell, and Paige Tyree to the Twilight Theatre Board of Directors for a 2-year term commencing January 1st, 2015. Any other discussion? All of those in favor, raise your paddles. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously.
And as a token of welcoming Paige to the board, all the board has a board binder with all of their information in it. Maybe I'm way too OCD, but now you have your own board binder. Congratulations.
What's your report?
That's me. Okay, so we'll have my report. I'm going to talk about a couple of things of the status of where we are, because I think I've been asked 1.3 million times. So I'm going to try and arm you with the information, and that way you can be good ambassadors in the community and share the information and spread the truth. So, our projector, okay. The projector was ordered and has shipped and should arrive the first week of December. It actually got stuck in Canada during the snowstorms and wasn't able to get over the border. So, so we're waiting on that, and this is what it looks like. The projector is up there. When it's all installed, you'll see it over there on the right, to the bottom right. So it's not just a plug and play type of thing. And this is me with George and Scott from Christie Digital, and we've been having some communication issues with Christie. There were some wonderful members. Matt Dighton and Gary Goodman went to CinemaCon and kind of sealed the deal with getting a refurbished projector donated in kind to us. That was several years ago, and so it just kind of got lost in the shuffle and trying to reconnect with that and make them deliver on that promise. And so I saw that they were going to be at a movie theater convention in Dallas in September. And I think I maybe called one of the board members and said, hey, I'm driving to Dallas tomorrow. Hope you don't mind. And I went there and made them pose for a photo with me. and guarantee that this was going to happen. They agreed, and we purchased the equipment for $10,799, and they gave us everything else, or at least a lot of other things that need to come with it, worth $44,458. So that would have been just over $55,000 if we were to purchase it outright. So that's a significant savings, and I don't know if we'll ever get to thank Christie Digital, but if we do and they're watching now, thank you. They've been great guys. So, okay, curtains and rigging. So when I came on the project, there were some things that I noticed that probably weren't ideal as far as design-wise for a live venue. So as far as the movie theater goes, we have a state-of-the-art movie theater. Have no doubts about that. And we have an excellent live performance venue, but there were some design issues that would hinder some of the functionality of that and hinder some of the things that we need to bring in here to be successful. So I ordered a review of the design, and so we're just going to be open about it, that there were some issues in the roof structure, that they weren't rated to bear the weight of theatrical lighting or curtains together. So we had a design come in, or a consultant come in, and we created a design where we'll move the existing rigging onto this transverse beam here that is just above the drop ceiling. Right now, all of the weight is on the roof. And so we want to take some of that load off and put it on this beam, so the main drape will be a little bit farther down. We'll move the lighting electrical strips. Right now, they're pretty far back. They're about right here. And so if they're shining down, we lose a lot of lighting space. So we're going to be able to move those forward so that we can light all of your children and grandchildren. And yes, and their faces, as opposed to just shining lights down on their head. And then you see darkness. We're going to reinforce the roof web joists. So at particular point loads, we just have to put in a reinforcement, and that helps bear the weight of the stuff that's going to be hanging from it so that it's safe. We're going to create walk-along tracks to close in the stage when needed. So originally there were curtains that were going to go diagonally upstage to downstage, and that doesn't really allow you to move set pieces on and off or equipment on and off. And the other thing is that this stage is 70 feet wide. That's larger than the Met. So that's incredible. However, if we're going to put on a school production, or we're going to do a community theater production or a summer stock production, that means we have to build sets that are 70 feet wide. Otherwise, the kids will look a little out of proportion. So what we're going to do is put midway travelers that will go out during movies, and then they can be walked in to close in the stage a little bit so that the energy and the focus is more in the center. And that will, in the long run, save us money on sets and various things like that, so that we don't have to fill the entire stage. Right now, to do all of this, our low bid came in at $49,000, and our highest bid came in at $107,000. So when we accept a bid, probably at the next meeting, there's a 6 to 8 week lead time, and then 9 days on site. And so the big question is, why do we need to do this? Well, there were a lot of people that invested in this project that that want to see this used as a multi-use space. So my job is to make sure that that happens. We'll have a state-of-the-art movie theater, and we'll have an excellent live performance venue to be able to do concerts, community theater productions, all kinds of things like that. So ultimately, we're trying to put the functionality back in. Okay. Staff and volunteers. So there's our EMS team that came in on Thursdays to help me. There's been a lot of cleaning, a lot of moving of equipment upstairs. There's a lot of things that have been installed on stage, or I mean around the building, all kinds of things. So, so the first thing I want to do is thank the volunteers. And if you have been a volunteer, I would like you to stand and be recognized for your contribution, whether you're shy or not. If you've come in, okay, stand up, Jennifer. I need to do a special shout out to Jennifer Kukin because she has helped me this last week with this meeting and various other projects, and I couldn't have done it without you, so thank you. So here's my vision for what this place needs. A facility of this size and operating budget needs to have a consistent staff. And one I see is a technical director in building maintenance that is full-time here to operate all of the electronic equipment, the projectors, the sound equipment, making sure that all of this wonderful equipment that we got either donated or paid a lot of money for stays in good repair, and that there's someone here that can talk to, say, a group wants to come in and use the space, they need to be able to negotiate and talk the technical speak to book that and be able to set that all up. Another position that I see happening is an audience services person that would be around the, just under the 29-hour mark of part-time, that would oversee the box office, concessions, front of house, and volunteer coordinator, so that there's someone that has a handle on that, someone that can deal with all of the members and requests for tickets and get that all set up. I also see the need for 3 part-time employees when we show movies, so that there's additional staff on hand to take tickets, to work the concessions, and various things. Now that may be a team of 10 people that we use every weekend and trade out, but I'd like to see some consistency there. And 1 part-time janitor, because this is a pretty big facility, and well, people are messy, so we want this place to last a long time and take good care of everything. Then, because we're a nonprofit organization, it's essential that we supplement that with volunteers. So groups that would come in and help work concessions or work the box office, but you really want a consistent group that knows what they're doing to provide excellent customer service. And why do we need to do this? Well, because I've had a lot of people ask me, why can't you just run it with volunteers? Well, one, volunteers are excellent, but it's inconsistent. And if it was just serving this community, then we could probably do that. But my directive is to serve a wider audience. And people who are visiting expect a different experience. And if we don't have excellent customer service and someone who knows the answer, then people aren't going to come back. And I firmly believe that not only will we be well run, but people will want to come here, and this will be an attraction just because it's going to be a fun place to be. And the other thing is that, one, it won't be sustainable if I have to do everything myself, if I'm taking your tickets and filling your popcorn and greeting donors and cleaning the bathrooms and pushing go on the projector all at the same time. So that wouldn't be sustainable. And we obviously want this place to be a generator of jobs. and also a training ground for young artists and volunteers. So that's my reasoning there. Let's see what's next. Unfinished business. Okay, so according to my calculations, in order for us to finish this deal, we need $175,000, and then I'd like to see $50,000 in the bank for ongoing operations so that when we open, we're not going to have to close the next weekend because we didn't make enough money. So, and that would be including the curtains, the projector installation, a couple of electronic needs for sound, some additional equipment for the concessions, and obviously the concession supply, still more cleaning supplies, and 3 months of staff. So that number includes all of that, so that we can feel confident that we can open like a well-oiled machine and not, I mean, there's a lot of people that would be rooting for this not to work. And we have to prove them wrong, that it's going to work and it's going to be better than anyone ever imagined. And that's my goal. So, we'll talk about partnership. I want the slow clap. Thank you. Partnerships and programming. So I just wanted to give you kind of a little idea of what I see going forward. The potential for film festivals, or a 24-hour film festival, a film social club that meets and we can have themed foods that go along with movies and people to talk about the films. Battle of the Bands. We could have competitions with local bands and put them on the map. Pageants. When I met with Whitney in almost the first or second week that I was here, she mentioned there was a Miss Southern Kansas pageant that kind of got left behind. Well, wouldn't this be a great facility to host that event? Wouldn't it? All right. How cool would it be to have an Xbox tournament on a 58-foot wide screen? Video games, right? Inviting, one of my big things is, you know, when you're in a rural community and, you know, what do you do to attract people? You can't do things the way that everyone else does because you can get that everywhere else. But if you attract the weird and you appeal to that person that's just slightly off, or that nerd, or whatever, suddenly they will come out of the woodwork, all right? And nerds will descend upon the town. Community theater and summer stock. I feel that this is one of the most important elements. One, when you see a group of people build sets, build costumes, paint the sets, rehearse for weeks on end to produce a result, the theater becomes theirs. And that's our goal here. We are going to show movies, and we're going to show it better than anywhere for 100 miles. And you're going to sit there and enjoy it, and then you're going to get up and you're going to go. But the live performance aspect is where people are going to build relationships. They're going to build confidence. Suddenly there's going to be a high schooler that, you know, maybe didn't like sports, and suddenly has the confidence to go out there and do something. Summer stock would allow us to bring in people into the community for several weeks at a time and show them what we're doing. And they can spend their money here, and they can eat at our restaurants, and they can get to know our families and then come back year after year because we're an awesome town. We're awesome people. I see this as a New Year's Eve party event, themed every year. Maybe 60s or 70s or a Great Gatsby themed thing. We come in here and live stream the ball dropping on this big screen. Am I right? All right. We'll see you there. All right. You'll be there for the 50s event. Okay. Poodle skirt? You got your poodle skirt? All right. I like your determination. Stream sporting events. How many of you, root for a Kansas team? All right. And not always can you get out of town and go see them play. Well, wouldn't it be cool if we had a tailgate party here? And then conventions. I've already had businesses come in and talk to me about, this would be perfect for my convention, and we're going to go to Dodge City, but that convention is really expensive, and why don't we just come here? And, well, why wouldn't we? All right, let's do that. Let's make that work. I think we're all aware of the obvious benefits of doing that. So the next thing is our partnerships. I see this as a key partner with, obviously, USD 422, the school. We need that partnership, and the building was built for that. So it's my hope that we can also better all of those programs by giving them the chance to learn and express themselves creatively in a place that is state-of-the-art equipment. This microphone is far better than anything that I ever got to work with. So this is really an opportunity and something to boast about. The 547 Arts Center. This is an arts organization, and we need to work together to produce events, and we already have started talking about that. It's essential, because mainly the arts does not have to exist. And Stacy told me that after the tornado, there were a lot of people that was like, why is there an arts center? We need a, I don't know, a grocery store or whatever. And that's true. You do need those things. But the arts defines communities who are strong. It provides an economic benefit. And culture is one of the determining factors of a successful city. And if you don't have culture, people will leave. So, obviously, there's the Pratt Community College and Barclay College, where we see opportunities to bring folks over here to use this facility, local churches and museums. And now, I'd like to talk about one of the best things, is that Grant and I spent a lot of time staying up really, really late working on the next thing. And obviously we have cameras up and already hooked in so that we can live stream events, which we're live streaming this right now. And so the Kiowa County Media Center is an essential part of what makes this special, because we have the capability to do something that no other place has. And maybe you've heard this a million times, so I'm just reiterating it. But I affirm to you right now my commitment to seeing that all of those organizations succeed just as well as the Twilight does. And now, Grant and I would like to debut our fundraising video that we made. And it will debut for the, obviously, if you've heard, the $100,000 matching campaign. And we'll view it now. We might have some technical difficulties. Oh, here we go. was inspired by a small community with a big dream. We have an incredible building, but now we need to fill it with life, with a heart and soul. It's time now to open the doors to the building, but open our minds to the possibilities of what's to come. Make your pledge today, and together, let's make this dream a reality. Grant's out in the trailer, but let's give him a round of applause for putting that together.
Yeah, and I pulled a bad earlier, and I apologize. I should have introduced the rest of the board. Heather Powell on my left, Brad Estes, Kim McMurray, and Scott Eller. Let's give them a hand of applause for what they do. Well, you saw the impressive video that Grant and Adam put together, and Adam's a jewel, and the Media Center is a jewel in the desert of Kiowa County, and I really appreciate both of them. With that said, that's the beginning of our Opening Our Doors campaign. We struggled a lot with the name, but we came upon opening doors, and that's what we're after. Adam had an individual family come to him and say, "Adam, how close are you?" "Well, we're close." "Well, how close? Be specific." "Well, there's too many unknowns with the in-kinds and everything else," but Adam would say, "Oh, around a couple $100,000. The family said, "Okay, we'll do half of it if you can raise the other 100 by the end of the year." So that's where we're at, and that does get our doors open. Even though it showed $225 to open the doors, $175 plus $50, we can probably open the doors with only $25,000 in the bank. But I really believe when the naysayers see what we're doing here and see what this place is going to be, there's a lot of people on the fence that are going to provide funding here in the future that haven't yet because they never thought the day would come. And I'm here to tell you that day's sooner than we all realize, and we're very, very proud of each and every one of you that have stepped forward and given time, given money, given what you could. And there's some people that can give money, and there's some people that can give time, and neither one is more important. They're both important to get the job done. As we move forward here, we still have 125 seats left at $250 a piece that have not been purchased. And the board will be working on a naming rights campaign in the near future for various sectors of the building, say the ticket booth, the lobby area, the concession area, the auditorium. We're looking at naming rights for past contributors and future contributors, not only as a way to reward those that have supported us in the past, but also as a way to secure some more donations to run the theater and get us up and running. But all of your board firmly believes the city has worked tirelessly on trying to bring business and industry to Kiowa County, Greensburg, Maverick Enterprises, IQ Purewood. All of us that have been involved in those projects have been involved to try to bring another business to Greensburg. And with what Adam showed you tonight, this theater will be run as a business. It will be run as a revenue stream, and I think there's a lot of people in Kiowa County that do not understand the revenue stream that this theater can produce and the jobs it can secure for Greensburg and Kiowa County. Because if there's a job in Greensburg, it benefits Kiowa County. If there's a job in Kiowa County, it benefits Greensburg. I'm not one of these anti-east, west, north, south, whatever. It's Kiowa County as a whole to me, and we're just really proud to be a part of that and hopefully bring some jobs as this theater moves forward. Are there any questions or comments at this time? Have we pretty much cleared up the muddy waters as far as a direct opening date? What Adam didn't tell you, to set the camera up? Explain that, what we got to go through once we get the camera in-house. And
So the installation process just takes, once we accept a bid, then there's about a 2-week lead, and then they'll come in, test it out, train those that need to be trained on it, and then basically we just have to make sure that we have all the business operation policies in place so that we can start out on a strong foot and not play catch up.
And in a perfect world, we haven't been exactly, maybe truthful is not the right word, but we were really hoping to open by Labor Day. We was hoping to open in the fall, and those were goals that we aggressively pursued, but all of us did not realize how many things that we were missing to get in place before we could do that. In a perfect world, we would have hired Adam a year and a half before we were to open. That is pretty much industry-wide. And we didn't know if we was going to get the money to open, so we couldn't hardly hire Adam, but Adam's trying to condense a year's and a half's worth of work on policies, procedures, concessions, everything else into less than a year, and he's working his tail off for us as a board and for you as members, and he is really, really working. So hopefully we cleared up any questions. We can't give you a specific date because we don't have one. I know everybody wants one, but it's going to be as soon as we can possibly do it. The school wants access, the community wants access, everybody wants access. We need to match this $100,000 by December 31st, and when we do that, the opening will be soon thereafter. But we're still moving forward, and I encourage each and every one of you to do all you can. Each one of you knows what you can do, what you can't do, and I don't want anybody to walk out of here feeling that the board was asking them to do something that they weren't comfortable with. But if each and every one of us does what we can, we're almost there, and I can't wait to, well, I won't be able to be up here during the grand opening because I'm about ready to lose it right now, but if each and every one of us does what we can, this can succeed for the community, for the county, for the region. And I firmly believe that, and just pray that all of you can do what you can, and when you do, we'll be there. Because there's people that can and people that, there's people that can and do and people that can but don't. And all of us in here are people that can and do. So just make sure you're in that group and pass the word publicly. There's been a lot of negativity surrounding the theater, and as you can see, we have a whale of a director in Adam. There's no reason to be negative. It's a miracle that we're to the point we are, and it's because of people that believe, and we're just about there. So anybody else want to add anything to that? And I know I rambled a long time, but this is a project that Kim and I have bought into because of what it can do for the community, and I just feel strongly about it, so it's easy for me to talk about it. Dick?
Of the 100K for the end of the year, how much of that is raised to date?
A little over 10,000.
Okay, just started.
Yeah.
There we go.
A little over 10. So pass the word to your friends and neighbors. There's people that should be here tonight that aren't, and there's people that should be here tonight that I'm sure that when they have one of you that really believes, talk to them, we can get to where we need to go. Matt?
I think we as members need to give you guys, as board members, and Adam, a round of applause for your efforts.
Will you say that again?
Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck.
So, we need to draw for the rest of the door prizes,
Yeah!
and then we can adjourn to the lobby for refreshments, tours, and tours. In the lobby by the Christmas tree on the counter at the concession area, in lieu of a cash donation, we've got some items that we need, like microwave, refrigerator, stuff like that. Somebody may have some, you know, Marilyn Gary may be buying you a new microwave for Christmas. If he is, just pick up the microwave card and bring your old one down here to us. But there's just little, like the angel tree at the bank, just little cards there of items that we need that can be donated to in that realm. End of the year tax donations grain-wise. If you give the grain in lieu of money, you can save on the self-employment tax. So we'll be looking, you guys that farm out there, you can look at that option. There's also pledge cards out there for a 1-year, 2-year, 3-year pledge, whatever you want to do along those lines. And what did I miss?
I think that's pretty good.
Door prizes.
Yeah! I think that it's if it is received before the end of the year.
It's received by the end of the year, but we could visit with our anonymous donor and see if that would work for him or her, but the way it was presented, it was by the end of the year it had to be matched. Any other questions? Mm-hmm. I would.
If it's an in-kind donations would count if it's something that is essential to opening. Now there's some things like we had a gentleman that has donated a piano for the lobby, and while that will be utilized, it isn't essential for us to open. So, you know, we still need that 100,000 to get open, but if we don't have to buy a refrigerator so that we can serve different kinds of concessions, then that helps us. So that would count. That makes sense.
Any other questions? Travis Powell, I can't read your writing. Stacy Barnes.
Woo!
Yeah, I know that. I figured it's more like that.
Well, this card did say Bob Dixon, but after the comment from the peanut section, I'm going to give it to Gene West.
Yes, it's a Frozen extravaganza.
Sing-along.
Yes.
Jennifer McCarley.
Yay! These are all going to end up at the Karen Share, aren't they?
And someone that will end up and spend a lot of time here once the facility is complete. Would anybody care to guess who that is? Amber Campbell. What do we do then?
Let's pick another one. Got to be present to win. Got to stick it out.
Cheryl Heft.
Woo!
Timothy Tyree.
All right.
I'm gonna check this all out before he gets over.
Better move quick, Tim.
What I want. Okay, we'll put this backpack, that's just what I need.
There you go. 2 more.
Amber could have won twice because I just drew her second ticket.
Well,
Stacy Durstein. Tim, I just drew you again too. You better go buy a lottery ticket. And the last one is Verita Larrick. So there we go.
all right, we'll see you out in the lobby for refreshments. Oh, we have to, yeah.
$25,000. We want 50. That's where the other 25,000 would be coming from. But that's the money that I'm confident will flow once the doors are open and people of this community see what an excellent venue they have.
And also the 200,000 that we need to do all the other stuff includes 3 months of salary for all those employees. So if I can get those people on board, we can charge forward much faster.
Any other questions before we have a motion to adjourn? We can go have snacks if somebody will do it. Motion by Tim Tyree, second by Ed Stouth. All in favor, raise your cards. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you for coming, guys. You're what makes a difference.
Yes.
Yes and a no. And I was just doing both things. Yes?
Yes? No. That's the comedy and tragedy.
I need to get a copy of your slideshow. There were lots of stuff. I was like, okay, get out of the slideshow. I was inspired by a small community with a big dream. We have an incredible building, but now we need to fill it with life, with a heart and soul. It's time now to open the doors to the building, but open our minds to the possibilities of what's to come. Make your pledge today, and together, let's make this dream a reality.